women, one, I think they're better leaders.
Women are better equipped to handle stress than men are. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me today.
My pleasure.
Before we get started, I'm sure we're going to have a ton of stuff to talk about. Why don't you go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about yourself and a little bit about the loan store?
Well, I've been in the business for, almost 30 years now. Got in as, I was an electrical engineer turned mortgage banker.
Oh, wow.
So started out at a company called First Magnus. Do you remember them?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So you're right there with me.
Yeah. In Irvine, where like the mecca of mortgage was.
It was that we did have a lot in Irvine. We had a big office, but it was out of Tucson, Arizona.
Okay. Yeah.
And so my first role is I built their back-end LOS, Loan Tracker. I don't know if you used that, but that was my baby. And then when that folded in the financial crisis, we started another company that became Caliber Home Loans. So I was actually the first employee at Caliber. I was at Caliber for 11 years, and it was a great experience, until it wasn't, and it really came down to the culture change. They brought in a new CEO, and it just wasn't the company that we had built. And so that was when I think I first started formulating my view on what I wanted to be a part of, right? And so I was actually in the process of starting another company, de novo, and ended up meeting Willie Newman in the process, and chickened out, and left Caliber and went to HomePoint. Yeah. And it was, because I don't know if you know. Do you know Willie? I
have never met him. No.
Oh, he's a great guy. Like he's just one of the he's just so he's so kind. You know what I mean? He's just a good human being, and that's kind of what drew me to him. Is he wants to do. Look, everyone wants to make money, right? But you need to have a higher purpose than that, and so we kind of bonded over that. And they also, HomePoint was just getting started. They had a bunch of private equity money. And so ended up doing that. I think when we got there, we were doing $250 million a month. We grew it to about $10 billion a month in 18 months. So it was a good experience in that regard. But the lessons learned on that is never go public.
Yeah.
It's probably, that was not fun. So when things changed in 22, right, and we ended up selling HomePoint, I had the opportunity to do my own thing. And so I actually went back to the partner I have now that I was going to buy the company with originally, and started a new wholesale lender. And in the platform that he had bought, because he still did that when I went to HomePoint, that was TLS.
Okay.
And so we ended up selling the originations arm of HomePoint into TLS, and that allowed us to wind the company down, and then pull our team over and build build TLS the way we want to build it. So it's been freaking awesome. I think the coolest part of the experience is it's the first time in my career where I'm able to work with. We have a no asshole policy.
I heard about this no asshole policy.
Everyone has to sign.
It's like in the book.
Hell yeah, sister. Hell yeah. Everyone has to sign it. It's real. We've actually, we fired a few assholes, and but it's just great from a people standpoint. My value is, again, everyone wants to make money, but I think that for me it's much more fulfilling, right, from a goal standpoint, to think about building something and everyone being able to benefit from that effort financially, professionally, and so. I mean, what's the difference between being worth $10 million or $100 million? But it's the same. Yeah. Right. And so my goal is I want to work with people I love and care about. I want to be able to make an impact, right, in the industry, and when this is all over, retire on a beach with a whole lot of friends. That we can drink margaritas.
Yeah. No, that's like with Notorious. I'm like, why are you doing this? And I'm like, because it's no fun on a Tuesday if I don't have anybody to hang out with.
Yeah, it needs to be more purpose. Yeah, it needs to be more purpose. So it's not just about money.
Let's also talk about that, because you guys are you're actually spreading the wealth around.
Yep.
So what have you put into the company to do that? You don't have to give me all the specifics, but
So there's a couple things we're doing. So one, we're building the company in a way. If you look at a lot of the successful mortgage banks that last through the cycles, they actually have a couple things in common. So one, they get their capital from patient sources, like an individual or a group of individuals that aren't just trying to build the company to sell it, right?
Okay.
And so we've structured the company where our goal is not to build TLS to a point and then sell it, and then it makes a few people at the top rich. It's to be able to run it with a long-term mindset, because we have patient capital, right? A lot of it's mine and friends of mine, where we can create financial security and not have to do this hire and fire thing across cycles. That's number one. Number two, if you look at every situation I was involved in, or every, mortgage banks are constantly being built and sold. And if you look at who that benefits, it's usually 1, 2, 3 people at the top who either have a lot of ownership, or they have some sort of long-term incentive plan that is based on them selling the company. And so what we did is, I have certain members of the management team in the cap table, so people are able to participate, right, in the equity side of things. And then rather than creating a long-term incentive plan that's just focused on a few people, I think we have like 80 people.
Wow.
Right? So a lot of it is the 80 kind of key, and this is AEs, underwriters, low-level managers, like execs. Yeah. It's like the whole gamut.
You're here for the long haul, right? Because you're personally vested.
Yeah, and the goal is that so I like to say this, but like I would feel like nothing would make me feel better than when this is all over, to know, that I made, disproportionately more millionaires, right, as part of that effort, right, than I have a private jet and, and own a sports team.
No,
it's like,
right, like what?
Not that I'm judging that, but that's just not my goal.
Right?
Right?
Like I like that too, but really having an impact in people's lives and really creating change.
Yes,
I love that. And there is something about people being vested. I look at sometimes, with what I do, I have to get up every day and do this thing because of my credit card.
Yeah,
and I'm
it's a bitch when it's your ass on the line, right?
So I got to show up, and that's what I'm so grateful for. I remember when we talked on the phone for the first time or over Zoom, and I was sharing with you like, this is what I want to build and all this kind of stuff, and you're like, yeah, we got you.
Yeah.
Well, we'll give you money, we'll give you resources, like we're here to support you. And I was like, no, remember, I was crying.
I will tell you, because I take a lot of those calls, happily take a lot of those calls, but normally it's like, all right, this is something we'll do. But yeah, like the passion that you showed, and yes, I mean you cried. You were like, I'm like, oh my God, like what do you need? Like anything you need, I'm in, and I also think, my wife's in the industry, and it's something that personally has always bugged me, is this industry, it's just so male dominated, and you don't have an opportunity. I think women, I think they're better leaders. But
do statistically with science, I was watching this thing, it said that women are better equipped to handle stress than men are, because biologically over time, the body and having to give birth, that it has adapted higher to stress levels.
Yeah. And mortgage is stressful.
Yeah.
So, but two, it's just the issue that you have is, and this is, I guess, maybe all industries, but where you see so much, so many companies where the management team is stacked with men, and it's tough because they had the opportunity to get mentorship and be part of a community that got them there, and I think part of the issue is, if a woman's working for a man, something might be wrong, right? Clearly, like she, and that was always kind of the issue. I saw with my wife, she's brilliant. Early in our marriage, we had kids, and we were actually building Caliber. She was a part of that initially, and we were working together, and it got to the point where it was like, one of us needs to leave because we're either going to get divorced, right? Or something needs to change. And at the time, I kind of regret this now a little bit because, my son just went to college, and I feel like I missed out a lot on his younger years because I was so career focused. But at the time, she was, and she still is, she's a way better parent. She's just great. And so she's like, all right, I'll stay home. And so she stayed home, for like 5 or 6 years. But I do think back, like if she didn't do that, she would she'd probably be running the number one lender in the country right now.
Thank you. Thank you for stating the obvious of like what people don't want to talk about.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes the challenge as a female in this, or just in general in work, is like I stayed home with my kids when they were little. And so my husband had the opportunity to climb the corporate ladder, right? He climbed the corporate ladder and then found himself in a position where he's like, I don't know if I like this anymore. He didn't have much of a choice, right? But then, you know, here I am in my 40s, you know, or my late 30s, needing to like get back into the workforce.
It's hard.
You know, and it was like I didn't have... You know, I had friends that had, I spun out one day. This was, probably 15 years ago. I had real small kids. I'm still at home. I haven't worked in a while. I get a call from a girlfriend of mine from college. She says, hey, I got to update my address with you, you know, for like Christmas cards or whatever. Yeah. Not that I ever sent out Christmas cards. I'm not one of those kind of moms ever, but I was like, thank you very much. So she gives me her address, and just being in a real estate family, we have access to a lot of data. Yeah. And I was like, let's look. Yeah. So I go online and I like Google, you know, what they bought their house for. It was over $1 million. And I sat at my table for like days, just spun out crying. Yeah. Because I wasn't working. Yep. I didn't have that life. And I was like, oh shit, there is a huge cost to not work. Like I didn't have a 401k. I didn't have anything. And I was going to get back into the workforce with no title.
How do you start? Yeah, she went through that. She's actually now running a tech company. She's doing well, but it took her years, you know, to get back in. And then there was like, you know, always a confidence issue there, right? Because she felt like she was so far behind. Yeah. And, you know, and it's kind of sad too, because I think, you know, if I look back on it, it's a way harder job to raise kids. Yeah, it is. It's hard. Build a mortgage bank, and yet you don't really get credit for that. You know. But anyway, so I think that the passion that you showed, there is, you know, some industries are better than others, but I think mortgage is way behind, right, on trying to, you know, create community, right, and it's not, you know, like I can't do it, like that's. You know, it takes someone like you, right, that has that passion, that drive to do it. So I'm excited to be a part of what you're doing, Paige.
Thank you. I'm looking forward for a very long relationship together. So share with me, because culture is like a real big like buzzword in, you know, corporate. Yep. So how do you guys create culture within TLS? Yeah.
So, well, first and foremost, we don't hire assholes.
Start
with that. But probably the biggest thing that you know, the type of leader I am is like, so I get really involved in the weeds, but not in like a punitive way, right? So a lot of leaders out there, there's like a you know, kind of a fear mentality of you know, it's like, hey, if you screw up or if you do something wrong, you get caught doing something, you're done, you know, and that's really bad, right, from a mindset standpoint culturally, because it inhibits people's creative side. Yeah, because
they don't want to make a mistake.
They don't want to make a mistake. And so my biggest thing has been, and always will be, is from a leadership standpoint. And this is, again, I was just really lucky to learn this because I had the opportunity to work for other men, right, that taught me this, right, is like, it's all about empowerment. It's giving people the grace to, you know, make a decision. And the key is not making the right decision. It's make a decision. Make a decision quick. Be confident in your decision. If you make a bad decision, that's okay. Right? Just fix it quick. You know?
And we hope it just didn't cost us too much money.
And so what I do is what I do is, I mean, I'm underwriting loans. I've underwritten 30. Did I tell you this?
There you go.
I've underwritten 30 loans. I can tell you, my mind is freaking blown on this because I've been trying to, you know, automate underwriting for 30 years, and now I finally understand why I failed at it. And so we're doing some really cool stuff. But again, I'm doing it in partnership with my head of ops, it's so much fun, you know, and it's like, it's a team thing where it's like, we're figuring this out, you know, versus it being like, you know, someone's done something wrong, right? It's supportive and encouraging, empowering. That's the key.
So I called my daughter's school one day. This is during COVID. And her teacher at the time, everybody loved this teacher, not during COVID, but she was definitely struggling with the online learning method. Yep. And I remember hearing her, oh God, this is going to be too much info. I remember being in the other room and hearing her talk to one of the students. And I came in and I looked, my daughter was probably in like the 4th grade. And I was like, was that so-and-so's mom? Because it sounded like,
oh.
Yeah, like reprimanding, right? Yeah. And she goes, oh, that was Mrs. whatever. And I go,
oh no,
it's not going to work.
Yeah.
So then I'm talking to her and she's like, yeah, I'm just like scared. I don't want to make a mistake. And I called the school and I was like, hey, listen, this is not a good learning environment. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I need her to be okay with making mistakes because that's how she's going to learn. Yep. If she's scared, she's not going to be able to absorb the information. That's right. She's not going to be able to learn from her mistakes.
That's right. And people need to make mistakes. That's how we learn.
Yeah. And I love the fact that you're talking about empowering this fear-based model versus empowerment model, because I see that, there's 2 ways to lead people, and we can lead them with fear and scarcity, and it's very effective. It works very, very, very well, and that's why people use it. Kind of makes you an asshole, but if I know what your hot buttons are, right? All I have to do is press them enough, and you'll do what I need you to do, right? If I know what hits
the problem too is that sort of leadership style, it becomes a cancer. It just propagates down the entire org chart. And then you start to have issues with peers where now people start to think they're in competition. And so their mindset isn't what's the right thing? How do I move the ball forward towards our collective goal? Yeah. It's how do I look better against this person over here that I'm competing with, which it's just not healthy.
Collaborative. Yeah. I remember especially in mortgage, I'd been taught this whole thing a long time ago about, leading people, leading them, leadership via fear and scarcity versus leadership via influence, right? And they're very different models. And, fear and scarcity is very, very, very powerful. It's, it's like primal, right?
Yeah, well, that surprised me. It's a very reactive emotion. You can definitely, if you do it well, and I've seen people that can do it well, it's effective.
It's very effective. The challenge with it, though, is that if I'm in an abundance mindset and you are leading with fear, you can't lead me. You can only lead me as far.
Well, you attract a certain type of person too, which I have found is typically not the type of people you want to hang out with and have fun with.
Right. So we have a lender in the space who they have a policy around, I mean, it's fear and scarcity, right? It's this whole let's just talk about it. This whole UWM versus Rocket thing, and so there's this ultimatum thing. And it's, you don't want to work with Rocket. Why? Because Rocket is making everybody an LO, right? Yeah. Which is the scarcity mentality, because they're going to take business away from you. And that they're also calling your clients and they're doing this wholesale thing. And I'm like, okay, I mean, sure, even if that's true, that could 100% be true. Yeah. In my mindset, I think like this: make everybody an LO. Yeah. Make them. Because you know what? This job sucks most days. It's really hard. It's very stressful. Not everybody's going to do this. Our processor, I'm like, go get your NMLS, do loans. And she's like, no, I don't want to do it. It's horrible. And so I'm like, that's fine. And 2, I believe there's enough business for everybody. So it foundationally goes against what I believe, and you can't lead me then, right? So there's this, it's a very short-minded way of leading people. Versus, the abundant side of it, which is, if I believe that, then, and also
if there's enough for everyone,
then you can't.
Well, I think it's funny because I just don't pay attention to that stuff anymore, and to be honest with you, I sleep a lot better because of it. But I don't think there's any secret sauce in mortgage. I don't either. I think it really comes down to you just out execute, right? And which again comes down to the people. Yeah. And so I've that's one of the things that I probably appreciate most about my new role is, I used to, because I've been competing against UWM and Rocket for a long time, right? Yeah. And I know Matt, I know those guys, and they've built incredible companies. Yeah. But I find the less I focus on what they're doing and the more I focus on what I just need to do to achieve my goal. Yeah. Because that's the other thing is what I realize is I don't think my goal is necessarily the same goal as theirs, right? So it's it's to each his own, and let's compete, and damn, they're good competitors, and the reality is it does make us all better because, they have beat me twice now.
Yeah. I mean, competition is great. It's what causes us to innovate, right? And get better. And, I've been always say, like, nobody innovates when they're winning.
Yeah.
It's like there's no need to. Also, one of the things that we talk about a lot with, like, the women, and you kind of brought it up, there a lot of times there's this, like, thing to be like number one, or like do the most units, or
that's an unhealthy. I don't like that mindset.
Me
either.
neither, because I'm like this, like so like whoever will come out and like I did this much last year, and I'm like, okay, that's great. I need to know all of the details. Like, what is the cost, right? I don't know if I want to spend it. I don't know if I want to. Well, that's
so when I was younger, and going back to kind of the story with my wife, I just like it really wasn't until COVID and working for Willie actually where I was able to find a better balance in my life personally, because I would work my ass off, and I would work on the weekends, and then COVID happened, and I realized how cool my kids were, because I was stuck in the house with them for 2 years, and I realized how much I missed out by not like having more balance between my career goals and my personal life. And now my son's in college. I'm like, damn, that went quick.
You don't get that time back. You don't get that time back. And a lot of times we glorify like the hustle. Like we'd be like, oh, I'm working on the weekend. I'm like,
That's where it's like, I think, I've actually, the last 3 or 4 summers, we go to Europe for our family vacation, because our kids are older, and we're trying to, show them perspective and culture and stuff like that. And that's the one thing that is, I'll say it's a stark contrast between the U.S. is like, there's just more balance. It's a lot more civilized way to live, It's like, and so I think that for as many good things as we have going on here from a country standpoint, the mindset of this, like, dog eat dog, or work yourself to the bone is not healthy, because you're not going to like be on your deathbed and look back and say, damn, I wish I would have worked harder. Like, you're just not. Like, it's not the purpose.
Yeah, I agree. I sit on panels sometimes, and like some of the men will be like, let me talk about the heyday, back in the day. And, I would just sit there and, write loans for like 17 hours a day and close, this obscene amount of loans. And I'm like, no. That sounds absolutely horrible. Just,
exactly.
I'm like, I don't want to do that. And I have talked to like, Eddie Perez over at EPM. He had this whole thing. We go back and forth. I love him to death. But he was saying, like, volume is like I don't know, misnomer. He's like, it's not really about volume.
No.
It's about units. He's like, units will really tell you who's good. And I was like, I'm going to beg to differ. You are an owner of a company, so whose unit sounds really good to you because you have a per file thing. And so the more units you do, like as a company owner, that sounds great. As a originator, I don't get paid off units.
Right, you get paid off volume.
I get paid off volume. And I'm like, my business plan is the exact opposite. I want to do the least amount of units.
Spend your time on the things that are going to give you the biggest impact.
Because I want to enjoy my life.
Well, and that's kind of why it's like our goal. Like, I actually don't ever want to be number one. Like, to me, that one, Matt's too good at it, and two, like, I know that would lead to an unhealthy balance in my life. And so I would rather just build a really good company that is, again, financially secure. 'Cause that's I just don't like this like hire and fire thing. Like, I'm just really want to avoid that at all costs, because it's so destructive to your culture. And it's just not fun, And so that's the goal, is like, it's not to be a number on a chart. It's just to have a balanced, healthy life that you feel good about. And at the end, you can look back and feel like you made an impact, and you got to hang out with some really cool people.
I love that. I love that. Everybody gets to eat. So today we're here at this incredible facility. You guys bought this, like, I don't know, how many acres is it?
It's currently 38.
38.
And I think we're going to take it up another 28, but
Okay. And what was, like, why were you deciding to buy this place?
So, that's an interesting, so the background on that is at HomePoint, because COVID, right? We were all remote. We had 4,500 people remote. And so it was very difficult to create cultural connection. So we actually started doing, at the time, it was the different properties, a property we didn't own, but we did that's where the ranch concept started. And so we would bring brokers down, we bring our associates down, and we would spend 2 or 3 days with them, and get to know each other and how we can be supportive of each other and bond and that sort of thing. And it was really good, but not just from a business standpoint, but from like a community standpoint. It was awesome, and so I wanted to replicate that at TLS, but do it, in a way where we had a bit more control. There's part of the issue of this property is that maybe it wasn't set up the right way, where we had to get hotels and things like that. And so what we did is we bought this property here in Wimberley, Texas, and we're using it to build culture. So a lot of the work, so the bar and the event center you saw, we did most of that ourselves.
Oh,
and so
wow.
I'm flying down, associates that want to spend a weekend with me and, sling a hammer and, do whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of fun because, honestly, I've had probably the most fun over the last year, hanging out with my team members, just building things with our hands. It's really, really cool that way. But the goal is we're building out. We'll currently have, by the end of next month, enough units on property where 20 people can sleep here. We're increasing that to 30 by the end of Q1 of next year, and then to 50 by the end of next year. And so the goal is, as we build more capacity, we'll start having more employees come down. I want to have every employee come here once a year, if not twice, right? Yeah. And so it'll be our opportunity to spend time together, to bond, because I can't unring, I'm not a centralized company, right? I can't unring the COVID bell. It's like we're all over the place. And it works, right? But from a productivity standpoint, zero concerns. From a culture standpoint, it's a problem. And so this is our solution to that. And then we're going to do the same thing with partners, and or like, for example, you are more than welcome to use it.
Thank you.
That will be one of the benefits of TLS as the sponsor.
Thank you.
And you can do some really cool stuff with a property like this. So we're excited.
It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful here.
Yeah, it is cool.
And then you guys also have like a leadership development staff.
Yep.
Why don't you go ahead and explain kind of how you're, bringing Rod in to work with everybody in that.
That's right. You're working with Rod, right?
Yeah. I'll tell you what we're going to do in a second.
Nice. So, I met Rod Harrison at HomePoint. So he was actually one of the original. He's on the original management team of Rocket, of Quicken, and so he's been in mortgage for a while. But his skill set, he's kind of like that show Billions. The woman that's like the head of HR. What her role is she works with all these. It's a high stress situation. Like there's a bunch of traders, and they make a lot of money and they don't know what to do with it. And so she kind of helps them from a personal development. So that's kind of what he does.
Okay.
Is he is what I've found with culture is like you can organically create it with the right people, but as you start to grow and build scale, you have to be really intentional on developing your principles, reinforcing your principles. And so we have, like, Rod helped me develop my principles. We do like this event, part of this event is reinforcing not just what our goals are for TLS, right, but giving people tools to be healthy, either financially, mentally, physically, right? We're going to put like on this property, we're going to put like a wellness center, and so we want to try to create this holistic approach where, through Rod, right, and that's his role at the company, we're giving support to our associates and our partners in a way that's bigger than just like, transactional loans.
I love that. I love that. So you don't even know what we're doing. So I'll share with you guys, and I'll share with you guys too. We just announced it at the event, the closing of the event. So through the series of like, oh, hey, you need to meet so-and-so, you need to meet so-and-so, I go through, meet Suye. She's like, she says the word, and I'm like, oh, girl, we are here. She said the word divine feminine, and I was like, we are kindred spirits. And she says, you need to meet Tanya. And so Tanya and I,
great.
we get on a call. She's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I have this idea of coming to the ranch. I have no idea what that's going to look like for the women of Notorious. So we're talking it back and forth. And we come up with this idea to do a 2.5-day retreat.
Okay.
It's called Burn the Business Plan.
Okay.
And it's the idea, because one thing that I notice, it's like in working with women, you know, it usually stems from like they want to go to the event, but then they're like money mindset gets triggered because like, I don't know, I'm going to afford it. And I'm like, listen, I said, are you open for coaching? Because I want to make sure like you're open to hearing what I have to say. Yeah. I'm like, okay, great. So I can show you how you need to set this up, right?
Yeah.
You are an employee. You're not an employee. You're a business owner. So you need capital, but I can walk you through logistically. Interest-free credit card, you win a payment plan with me. I can walk you through the logistics. The logistics are easy, but none of that matters if you are going to get triggered and you are going to start this BS, because then you can't even take the step.
Yep.
And for myself, like that is what's created so much of the success in my own business is like constant, like I like to go to the forest with like shamans and do plant medicine. Like that's what I want to do. And so, like, you just gonna cry for
just work it out.
Yeah. I love it because like I don't have a choice. It's like, because if I have a choice, I'm like, man, I'm not gonna worry about this today. Right. So it's like, no, you're just gonna go on an adventure. And you're going to work through all your, you know, we hold trauma in our body, like our trauma, our ancestral trauma, all of this collective global trauma.
It's amazing. It's
like, just like, you remember when COVID hit and like, I was like, oh shit, is this going to be another 08? Because that was scary, right? Yeah. And I remember just being like, in like every time something gets a little funky, right?
Think about what the country went through with that, or the world. It's crazy.
Yeah. And so I was all scared COVID was going to like be an 08, and then I made more money those next years, you know, but it was like still having that trauma in our body. We have to work it out, because what happens is like, you know, whatever happens, and like you get a feeling in your body, and then it comes into your head, and then you get a thought, and then you're stuck. You can't even take the steps. And so
it's your subconscious controlling your action. Yeah.
So we're going to do some stuff here at the ranch for 2.5 days, real heavy on somatics. Okay. I'm going to bring in my personal energy healer that does like spinal energetics and Kundalini activation. Okay. We're going to do some breath work and, you know, do some really cool stuff. You'll
really like working with them. It's and they're very much aligned with that, by the way. And the whole kind of, you know, it's there's a bigger, whatever your religion is, there's a bigger presence, and there's more to us than we understand, right? And the more connected you can get with your inner self,
you can start to co-create with this energy, right? And that's the whole time building Notorious. I'm like, Paige, just do not get in your, if I can just stay as a clear channel, then I can take the steps, right?
If I start like that, that's actually probably where he's helped me the most, because that's like, we bonded at HomePoint, and part of it was Willie, part was him. Like, I did not have a healthy mindset. You know? So I wake up in the shower and, you know, my self-talk was off, and I think about how I was going to, you know, destroy all my competition. It's just not healthy. And so he's, you know, he's really helped me with that. You know, it's like, focus on what you want. You know, don't let the bullshit get in the way. And when you do that, life's a lot better. I'm really excited for it. He's going to come in and hold the, like, I think he's going to do a couple sessions with us, but he's going to hold that like divine masculine role in the container with the women. I'm very excited. That's cool. You guys will have fun. That's good. That's going to be a good one.
Can't wait.
I might have to show up for that one.
You should come. You should come. I'll let you know when we plan it. It's going to be incredible. And, you know, it's actually going to make a tangible difference in people's lives, you know? So like, that's really, I think I'm what I'm most excited. I love to go to Cabo. I love to travel. I love to make a lot of money. But also what really matters is like being able to help people.
Purpose.
So, I
agree. Same. Purpose.
Well, I love it. Well, thank you so much for all of your support.
Thank you, by the way. You're killing it.
Thank you.
You're killing it. My team had a great time at the event.
Good. Yeah, it was such a vibe. And it was wonderful having them out. And, you know, I couldn't do this work without great sponsors like you.
Happy to support.
Thank you. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's podcast/YouTube show, Standout by Notorious. Thanks so much to our sponsor and our partner, The Lone Store. You guys can follow them at The Lone Store across socials, and go ahead and give us a follow at NotoriousWMN. If you want to check out our upcoming events, go to our website, NotoriousWMN.com, and join us over in our Facebook group where we all hang out.